5 musicians, 5 broken relationships, 1 album that generated $500 million amid a financial betrayal that nearly destroyed them all. Behind the platinum records and sold-out stadiums, we're counting down the 5 biggest financial shocks that rocked Fleetwood Mac. Recording costs that mysteriously ballooned from $1 million to $40 million, $10 million secretly funneled offshore by management, and Mick Fleetwood's devastating bankruptcy in 1984. Their story exposes predatory industry practices that continue today, where artists create timeless music while being robbed blind. The numbers will leave you speechless. What if the secret to creating one of history's best-selling albums was personal disaster? In 1976, Fleetwood Mac wasn't just a band, it was a relationship graveyard. The McVies navigated a fresh divorce. Buckingham and Nicks nursed the wounds of their collapsed relationship, and Mick Fleetwood grappled with his wife's affair with his best friend. Despite these fractured connections, they gathered at Record Plant Studios in Sausalito, California, where the waterfront studio became both sanctuary and battlefield. Amid this emotional minefield, their music took shape. Each song served as emotional artillery in their interpersonal war. Stevie crafted Dreams with lyrics directly targeting Lindsay. Players only love you when they're playing. Lindsay retaliated with Go Your Own Way, including the line about packing up, shacking up that Stevie detested. Christine, meanwhile, composed Don't Stop as a forward-looking message to her ex-husband John. The studio resembled a combat zone. Recording sessions frequently erupted into confrontations, with one notable incident where Lindsay hurled his guitar across the room after clashing with Stevie over vocals. Producer Ken Kaila once entered the control room to find them screaming so intensely that other band members had fled entirely. Their fractured relationships transformed the studio process into a logistical puzzle. Band members often recorded separately, with Christine laying down keyboard parts alone and John adding bass later. What should have been a 3-month project stretched into an 11-month ordeal, ballooning the budget to $1 million, equivalent to $4.85 million today. The creative process was further complicated by substance abuse. A dedicated success pyramid of cocaine sat on the mixing console, champagne flowed freely, and recording sessions often continued until dawn. Engineer Richard Dashut estimated that cocaine alone added $250,000 to the album's cost through wasted time and extended sessions. Their personal turmoil paradoxically drove musical perfection. Lindsay recorded 16 separate guitar parts for Never Going Back Again. Stevie performed Gold Dust Woman repeatedly until her voice was raw with emotion. John's bass line for The Chain required 3 full days to perfect, normally a few hours' work. The emotional chaos producing one of music's greatest masterpieces created a perfect blind spot. They crafted a $500 million musical landmark while being systematically robbed. Their emotional turmoil created the perfect smokescreen for corporate predators. While Fleetwood Mac poured their hearts into creating musical history, Warner Brothers executives gathered in boardrooms perfecting a financial sleight of hand. How does a band sell 40 million albums worldwide but only get paid for 10 million? The answer: creative accounting. By 1980, Rumours had generated over $100 million for Warner Brothers, yet the 5 band members collectively received just $20 million. This wasn't just bad luck, it was by design. The music industry's secret weapon against artists was cross-collateralization. Imagine using your birthday money to pay for last month's broken window. This accounting trick allowed Warner Brothers to deduct a staggering $40 million from Rumours' profits by claiming they needed to cover losses from the band's earlier albums. These alleged losses practically wiped out what should have been life-changing wealth for the band. What made this scheme particularly insidious was how easily it went unnoticed. The band members were on a non-stop carousel of touring, recording, and dealing with their complex personal lives. It wasn't until a routine audit in 1982 that the full scale of the financial manipulation came to light. Where's the other $40 million? The question shocked everyone except the Warner Brothers accounting department. By then, the money was long gone. During later litigation, internal memos revealed something even more disturbing. Warner Brothers hadn't just pocketed the band's earnings. They'd used Fleetwood Mac's withheld funds as capital to sign new artists. Some of that money helped launch Prince's career, essentially forcing Fleetwood Mac to unknowingly finance their future competition. For every dollar Rumours earned, the band should have received approximately 25 cents. Instead, they got less than 7 cents. This mathematical sleight of hand meant they lived comfortably rather than achieving lasting financial security. For some band members, even that wouldn't last. While Warner Brothers was draining Fleetwood Mac's earnings through creative accounting, someone even closer was picking their pockets. The very people hired to protect their money, their own management team, had been quietly orchestrating a personal heist that would leave band members stunned. Seedy management, run by several close associates of Mick Fleetwood, handled the band's finances during their meteoric rise to success. Their contract entitled them to a standard 20% cut of the band's earnings, a percentage that apparently wasn't enough. In 1982, an audit revealed something shocking. Seedy management had secretly funneled approximately $10 million of the band's money into offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands. One of their boldest schemes involved documenting a supposed $1 million promotional tour in Japan, complete with fake receipts and contracts. The tour never took place. For Mick Fleetwood, the betrayal cut especially deep. He discovered his personal accountant had used $500,000 of his Rumours earnings to purchase a luxury yacht named the Rum Runner, a yacht he'd never seen but appeared on his financial statements as a tax write-off for the band. When questions about financial discrepancies began mounting in 1980, David Recker, Fleetwood's personal accountant, fled to the Bahamas, taking millions of the band's dollars with him. By relocating to a country with limited extradition agreements, he placed himself beyond U.S. authorities' reach. The band attempted legal action, but by 1983, the management company had dissolved, distributing assets among various shell companies and making it virtually impossible to track down the missing funds. The case collapsed along with any hope of recovery. Between Warner Brothers and Seedy management, nearly 75% of what Fleetwood Mac should have earned from one of history's most successful albums had vanished. The band had created musical magic while their finances were being systematically dismantled by people they trusted. While their stolen millions swirled through offshore accounts, the band members' personal finances were spiraling into disaster. Gold records and Grammy awards lined their walls, reflecting light onto past due notices and threatening letters from creditors. In 1979, Mick Fleetwood owned a sprawling Bel Air mansion and boasted a $7 million net worth, roughly $27 million in today's money. Just 5 years later, he filed for bankruptcy. His assets? A mere $500,000, barely enough to cover his debts. The man who kept the beat for one of rock's most successful albums couldn't keep his finances in rhythm. Fleetwood's downfall came through a perfect storm of bad investments and substance abuse. He poured $8 million into ventures that flopped spectacularly, including a real estate project in Australia that collapsed when the developer vanished with investors' money. Substance abuse plagued the entire band, draining their finances at alarming rates. Cocaine habits alone cost them millions. Stevie Nicks spending approximately $1 million annually, while Fleetwood burned through $200,000 between 1979 and 1983. John McVie's battle with alcoholism sent him to rehab in 1980, costing $50,000, a quarter of his yearly income. "I was the worst drug addict," Nicks later admitted. "My nose could have collapsed. My whole body could have collapsed." The contrast between public perception and private reality was stark. Fans saw platinum records and sold-out arenas, assuming lives of boundless luxury. Meanwhile, band members watched their accounts drain despite creating one of music's greatest commercial successes. While record executives flew private jets purchased with Fleetwood Mac's earnings, Mick Fleetwood was selling his home to pay creditors. By 1983, the situation had grown so desperate that the band considered breaking up permanently. Financial pressure threatened to dissolve the creative partnership behind classics like Dreams and Go Your Own Way. While fans assumed Fleetwood Mac was living in luxury, the band was secretly gathering evidence for a $40 million lawsuit that would expose the music industry's darkest secret. Even the biggest stars in the world could be robbed in plain sight. In 1983, Fleetwood Mac took an unprecedented step by suing Warner Brothers, one of the most powerful record companies in the industry. This lawsuit directly challenged a system designed to keep artists in the dark about their own money. For 3 years, the band endured a grueling legal process that cost them $2 million in attorney fees alone. Warner Brothers employed a clear strategy: make the trial so personally embarrassing that the band would surrender. They attacked the band's credibility, arguing their documented drug use made them unreliable and justified withholding royalties. Despite these humiliating tactics, the band members stood united in their fight against the label. When the dust settled in 1986, the lawsuit ended with a settlement of $15 million, far less than the $40 million they believed they were owed. On paper, it looked like a defeat. "The money we lost still stings," Christine McVie later revealed. "But what we gained for other artists means more than the millions we never saw." Though the financial outcome appeared disappointing, the lawsuit achieved something far more significant than a payout. It exposed standard industry practices that had gone unchallenged for decades. For the first time, both the public and other musicians saw exactly how a band could sell 40 million albums and still struggle financially. The impact transformed the industry. By the 1990s, recording contracts had changed dramatically. Revenue splits that once favored labels by 70% decreased to 50 to 60%, giving artists fairer compensation. The awareness created by Fleetwood Mac's lawsuit shifted the power balance between artists and labels. After years of legal struggles, the band found redemption in 1997 with their reunion tour, The Dance. Grossing $36 million across just 40 shows, the tour proved that Fleetwood Mac had learned to protect their interests while reconnecting with their audience. The accompanying live album sold 5 million copies, becoming the 5th best-selling live album in American history. This time, the band made sure they received what they had earned. Decades after their financial turmoil, Fleetwood Mac's music has finally yielded the rewards they deserved. Today, Rumours alone generates $10 million annually from streaming services, with the catalog valued at $300 million. A striking contrast to their earlier financial struggles. In recent years, band members transformed exploitation into empowerment through strategic rights sales. Mick Fleetwood sold his recorded music rights for $20 million, while Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham collectively earned $50 million from publishing rights. "The money we lost still stings," Buckingham reflected in 2021. "But Rumours gave us something no one can take away: our place in history." Their enduring legacy lies not just in creating timeless music amid personal chaos, but in surviving financial betrayal while helping forge a path toward greater transparency and fairness for all musicians who followed.